talented, not qualified, let it go in one ear and out the other. You are not who people say you are who God says you are. But some of you today, you have God in a little bitty box. You don't see how you could ever send your children to college, or how you could get out of debt, how you could accomplish your dreams. Listen, our God is an all-powerful God. Your job is not your source. God is your source. And as long as you stay connected to Him, the supply line, everything is going to be all right. He is Jehovah Jireh, the Lord your provider. Now, don't get stuck in a rut. Don't be narrow-minded and miss what God wants to do. My sister Lisa and her husband Kevin tried for several years to have a baby with no success. Lisa went through all the fertility treatments and different surgeries. Still nothing worked out. Finally, the doctor told her there was nothing more that he could do, and she wasn't going to be able to have a baby. Lisa was very discouraged, very heartbroken. She had prayed and believed, but still it didn't work out. And the truth is, God is a sovereign God. His plan for us is always good, but His plan may be different than our own plan. He is the potter, we are the clay. You should pray, believe, stand in faith. But in the end, you have to be mature enough to accept what God has destined for your life. Not defeat, not mediocrity. I'm talking about staying open. Lisa told how she was consumed with having this baby. That's all she thought about, all she prayed about. She wasn't going to be happy unless God did it her way. When you do that, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. A much better approach is to just be honest and say, God, this is what I want. This is what I'm believing for. But God, you know what's best for me. However it works out, God, I trust you. I'm still going to be happy. You have to put having to have it your way on the altar. And that's what Lisa did. She said, God, I'm not going to ask you for this baby ever again. You already know what I want. Instead of begging you, telling you how to do it and when to do it, God, I just want to thank you that your perfect plan for my life will come to pass. What did she do? She let God out of her box. She got rid of her preconceived ideas. About 3 months later, she received a phone call from a friend of ours that runs a home for teenage girls that are in need, Nancy Alcorn from Mercy Ministries. Nancy told how there was a teenager about to give birth to twins and wanted to know if Lisa and Kevin would be interested in adopting those babies. When they heard that, something came alive on the inside. They said, absolutely yes. Today, Lisa and Kevin have 3 beautiful children, as happy as can be. But here's the point. God did what He promised, but He did it in an unconventional way. Not the way Lisa had planned. Now, I'd love to tell you God will always do it your way, but that's not reality. But I can promise you God's way will always be the best way. You may not understand it. It may not seem fair, but God knows what He's doing. I'm asking you to trust Him. Quit being frustrated because it didn't work out your way. What if you knew if God answered your prayer the way you wanted, that it wouldn't be His best, or that it wouldn't last, or that it wouldn't be healthy? You would gladly let God do it His way. And some of you would enjoy life a whole lot more if, like Lisa, you would put that dream on the altar and say, God, I'm tired of fighting it, tired of trying to make it happen my way, living frustrated. God, I trust you, knowing that at the right time, your plan for my life will come to pass. See, it says in Psalms, delight yourself in the Lord, and God will give you the desires of your heart. When you're trusting God to do it His way, there's a rest. You're not struggling, fighting, upset. You're at peace. You know God's way is the best way. So you can relax and enjoy your life while God is in the process of bringing those promises to pass. 2 Kings chapter 5, there's the story of a man named Naaman. He was a captain in the Syrian army. Very influential man, but he had leprosy. And one day, a young lady that worked for him, a maid at his house, said, Naaman, if you'll travel to Israel and see the prophet Elisha, he'll pray for you, and I know you'll be healed. He took her advice and went a great distance all the way to Israel, showed up at Elisha's house. But when he got there, Elisha didn't even get up and go to the door to meet him. Elisha sent his assistant and said, go tell Naaman if he'll go wash in the Jordan River 7 times, he'll be healed of that leprosy. Well, Naaman was offended. He had traveled all this way. He's an important military man, and Elisha didn't even have the courtesy to come to the door to speak with him. Plus, he didn't want to go wash in the Jordan River. That was a dirty river. Naaman had his own plan. He said in verse 11, I thought Elisha would come out and wave his hand over me and cure me of my leprosy. 2 words that almost kept him from his miracle. I thought. He had a preconceived idea of how it was going to happen. The young girl said, Naaman, if he'd asked you to do something difficult, you would do it. Why don't you do this simple thing? She talked him into it. He went and washed in the Jordan River. When he came up the 7th time, his skin was perfectly clean. I was wondering, how many of us miss God's best because we thought it would happen another way? I thought I would give birth to my children, not adopt them. I thought I would get well without the treatment. I thought I'd get that promotion. That's how I'd be blessed. No, stay open and let God do it His way. When Victoria and I were first married, we lived in this townhome. It's a very beautiful place. We bought it for a great price and felt very blessed. A couple of years later, we had a desire to buy a house. We put the townhome on the market. It sold very quickly, and we found this nice house that we really wanted. It was in our price range, and we thought this is the perfect house for us. We made an offer on it and didn't hear anything back. A couple of weeks later, they responded and didn't accept it. So we made a better offer, very close, just a few $1,000s off. Victoria and I were praying and believing. Our heart was set. We knew this was the right house for us. A month later, our realtor called back and said they had sold the property to somebody else. We were so discouraged. We thought, God, how could that happen? We prayed, we believed. A few months later, we were out looking around, and we found this old, rundown, beat-up house, but it was in a nice neighborhood close into the city. It's on a beautiful lot with big trees, but the house had been abandoned for a couple of years. Windows were broken out, no doors on it, had a leak in the kitchen.